To start now? Okay. So, namaste and welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining Seniors in Seva's masterclass on talent retention strategies. Talent retention और या अपने talented कर्मचारियों को अपनी संस्थाओं में कैसे खुश रख सकते हैं, कैसे motivated रख सकते हैं, ताकि वो अपना काम दिल से लगा के करें. This is, I think, a basic problem जो कई organizations में, चाहे वो private sector में हो, चाहे वो development sector में हो, ये challenge हमेशा आती है. तो हमारा जो पहला मास्टर क्लास है जो गुरवीन जी कंडक्ट करेंगी, हमने सोचा कि इसी टॉपिक से हम लोग अपना मास्टर क्लास शुरू करें. तो इससे पहले कि मैं थोड़ा सा गुरवीन जी का इंट्रोडक्शन करती हूँ, मैं थोड़ा सा सीनियर्स इन सेवा के बारे में भी आपको बताना चाहती हूँ. माय नेम इज सोनिया कपूर एंड आई एम वन ऑफ द co-founders, 5 co-founders of Seniors in Seva. So Seniors in Seva, five of us are actually batchmates from IRMA, which is a management institute that was started by Dr. Kurian. And we decided about a year ago that we would like to do something to give back to society. And we came up with the idea of starting a volunteering platform where we connect senior professionals who are willing to give some volunteering time to the development sector so that they can give their expertise and become mentors to organizations in the development sector particularly. But any individual who also needs professional mentoring is also welcome to be there. So after a year, I'm very happy to say कि हम लोग हमारे platform में there are about 80 plus volunteers who have signed up. So we have 80 volunteers in our community. And one of the biggest projects that we are doing right now is that we are providing mentoring support to farmers organizations, जिसको FPO बोलते हैं, Farmers Producers Organizations. तो हमने 36 volunteers को independent directorship की training दिलवा के we have connected them with 36 farmer organizations ताकि वो उनको mentoring support दे सके. इसके अलावा हमारे 14 non-profits have also registered with us, and we are providing volunteering skills to them. उनके specific problems होते हैं, जैसे किसी को HR policies की issue है, कोई fund raising strategies के बारे में support चाहता है. तो इस तरह से हम लोग volunteers के जो skills हैं, जो भी experienced हैं इसी area में, उनको फिर हम लोग मैच करते हैं इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ. एंड द ब्यूटी इज के ऑल ऑफ दीज आर, वी आर सो ऑनर्ड कि हमारे सारे जो वॉलंटियर्स हैं वो बिल्कुल प्रो बोनो करते हैं. दे डोंट चार्ज एनीथिंग फॉर दिस, सो वी आर रियली ब्लेस्ड. सो द मास्टर क्लास विच वी हैव इनिशिएटेड टुडे is also another idea we had, that we have now such a rich base of volunteers with so much of experience. Why don't we start master classes where we can make this expertise available faster and quicker to a larger group of people? So best practices share karke, we can make this more widely available. So this is our first one, and thank you so much. I'm delighted to welcome Ms. Gurveen Singh. Gurveen Singh is very, very experienced. She has been in the human resources space for more than 40 years. ये global CHRO रह चुकी हैं, global head of human resources रह चुकी हैं Reckitt Benckiser के साथ, जिसका brand Dettol हम सब जानते हैं. Gurveen ji she's a graduate from XLRI, and she has worked in India, she's worked in Singapore, she has worked in UK. तो उनका बहुत अच्छा global experience, multicultural experience रह चुका है. Additionally, वो board of director हैं. She's on the board of Eureka Forbes as well as VLCC. And most recently, Gurveen, for her service, in recognition of her achievement, XLRI has rewarded her with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So Gurveen will share best practices for about 20-25 minutes. और उसके बाद हम लोग we'll open up the floor for a question and answer session. In case you have any questions, of course, we will be putting you on mute, and we just request that don't unmute while Gurveen is talking so that she can speak uninterrupted. लेकिन अगर आपको कुछ सवाल पूछने हैं तो आप chat box में भी type कर सकते हैं. So over to you, Gurveen. I think we are delighted, and again, thank you for having us over, and I'm going to pass on the mic to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you very much for your kind words. And of course, the team of Seniors in Seva, I think you're doing a fantastic job. Really, it's very inspiring. And also for the opportunity to address you all. Okay, so that's really nice that I can kickstart this with a master class. मेरे बारे अब सोनिया ने तो सब कुछ बता दिया, पर मैं ये भी बता दूं कि मैं छोटे से टाउन से हूँ, क्योंकि अभी इतना छोटा नहीं है, but it's a meaningful town because I'm from Jamshedpur, a house of Tatas, जहाँ से Tatas बिल्कुल शुरू हुए. And the reason I mention this is because Tatas have done a lot of work in the development sector. So बहुत उन्होंने वो काम किया, चाहे वो community के लिए हुआ या service to humanity. They have done a tremendous job, and I've been brought up with those kind of values and principles, and that's what defines me really. And that is a philosophy that I have got over all these years, and I've imbibed that philosophy. So therefore, this class makes it even more special. All of you have such a sense of purpose, and nothing can be more powerful than that. So thank you for making me part of this journey. I'm delighted to be here. And Sonia, can you just put the top, just the opening slide, which is...
Yeah, I'll do that. I think, hang on. I thought the slide.
So while you're putting this on, let me just carry on.
Yeah.
So as you know, I mean, ये age-old problem है. So everybody, जब से मैंने शुरू किया काम करने, it's been over 40 years. और लोग कहते थे, we are facing a war on talent. And I used to keep wondering कि ये war on talent क्या है? Okay, talent तो है, तो क्या है? What is this war? चाहे वो private sector हुआ, चाहे वो corporate sector हुआ, चाहे government sector, everybody was looking for talent. And it's scarce. It's not something that comes every day. So all leaders will keep saying this. And over these years, I have realized how important it is not only to get the best talent that you've got, or talent आ गया, मिल गया, ठीक है, उसको कैसे train किया जाए. So sometimes you get talent, but it's not trained. And if it is trained, if talent is trained, how do you actually motivate, engage, and retain these people? And that becomes even more of a difficult exercise that all of us face, because जो talent है वो train हो गया तो उसको opportunities ज़्यादा मिलती हैं, तो वो लोग फिर चले जाते हैं. But it's very, very important that we keep hold of talent that's meaningful, talent that's been trained, and we need to engage and motivate them in many ways to keep them with us. तो यही है हमारा टॉपिक आज कि क्या स्ट्रैटेजी है रिटेन करने. और आपको there'll be many more strategies, but I'm going to touch on a few things with my own experience and give you some nuggets of things that I've learned through these years and experiences. So शुरू करते हैं first slide से. Sonia, if you can just go on to. So मैंने इस 4 सेक्शन में, 4 भाग में इसको डिवाइड किया है. The first one is rewards, and I'll come to that in a minute. दूसरा है careers और career development, कैसे कर सकते हैं हम. तीसरा है learning experiences, चाहे वो training हो, चाहे वो project based learning हो, चाहे कुछ हो, वो learning है. Learning is very important. And the fourth is section is visibility. तो ये 4 भागों में हमने ये स्ट्रक्चर किया हुआ है ये प्रेजेंटेशन. So let's go to the first one, which is rewards.
Give me a minute.
हाँ. So rewards में I have touched upon 4 subjects here. एक ये short term incentive, दूसरा है long term incentive plan, और ये ज़्यादातर maybe it will not be so relevant to the development sector, but I'll just give you a view on what it is. तीसरा है recognition, which is very important actually, and benefits. So this combines this area of rewards. So let's start with short term incentive. Sonia, if you can go back.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I think there's an issue with.
So let's go with short-term incentive. Short-term incentive ये होता है where you try and earn some financial awards, where you allow people to earn some financial awards with a potential to increase your value proposition. ये ज़्यादातर sales में, तुम्हारा sales target achieve कर लिया या distributor ने sales target achieve कर लिया, तो आपको short-term award, short-term bonus, short-term incentive मिलता है इसके वजह से. And these can be monthly, ये monthly हो सकता है, ये quarterly हो सकता है, ये annual भी हो सकता है, और आपने नंबर अचीव किया, ये मिल गया आपको. So monetary and non-monetary also team level पे. जैसे हम अपने I used to, like Sonia said, मैं डेटॉल कंपनी में काम करती थी, वहां पे हमारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स बहुत थे और वो लोग अचीव करते थे टारगेट. उनको हम ले गए एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मीट के लिए कोई अच्छी जगह, और वहां पे उनको सेलिब्रेट किया. जैसे दूसरा, हमने द बेस्ट टीम को मोटरसाइकिल दे दिया. सो ये सब चीज शॉर्ट टर्म इंसेंटिव है, वो इमीडिएट ग्रेटिफिकेशन. तो आपने अचीव किया टारगेट, आपको मिल गया कोई अवार्ड. सो ये शॉर्ट टर्म इंसेंटिव में माना जाता है, और इट इज एक्चुअली पार्ट ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म इंसेंटिव, एंड इट इज वेरी easily used for people with targets and measures that they can do. The second one is a little more complicated. वो थोड़ा long term incentive plan है, जहां आप वैल्यू क्रिएट करते हैं, और वैल्यू क्रिएट करते हैं अपने लिए, और जहां पे आप लॉन्ग टर्म इंसेंटिव जैसे कि शेयर्स और ऑप्शन देते हैं इन रिकग्निशन ऑफ द वर्क दैट यू हैव डन. सो जैसे लोग सीनियर होते जाते हैं, उनको ये लॉन्ग टर्म इंसेंटिव बहुत भाता है, बिकॉज दे लाइक दिस. Because you are not only creating value for yourself, you're also creating value for the company. So for example, in my role as a CHRO, just say when I reached the global level, I was given these short-term incentives, or sorry, short-term to था ही, और long-term incentive जो था, वो of course achievement of certain goals over 3 years. Over 3 years. So company ने market share achieve किया, या company ने कुछ नेट रेवेन्यू 3 सालों के लिए, या प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी किया, या जैसे भी है CSR एक्टिविटी में जो किया. सो दीज अवार्ड्स वर बेस्ड ऑन द अचीवमेंट ऑफ लॉन्ग टर्म गेन फॉर द कंपनी. दूसरा, we also put money and said I will buy shares, so I will buy X number of shares in the company because मेरे को accountability चाहिए, that I am part of this journey because I understand the purpose, I am also part of the vision. और ये ज्यादातर लीडरशिप रोल्स में हम देते हैं, जहां पीपल कैन एक्चुअली अर्न इक्विटी इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो ये लॉन्ग टर्म इंसेंटिव प्लान कहा जाता है. तीसरा है रिकग्निशन, एंड रिकग्निशन हर सेक्टर में है. सो ये प्रोग्राम इज टू रियली एक्नॉलेज अ पर्सन्स कंट्रीब्यूशन एंड एफर्ट, और उसने अचीव क्या किया. जैसे कि हम न्यूज, somebody has become employee of the month, उसने ये वैल्यूज दिखाए, उसने ये टारगेट अचीव किया, जो भी किया उसको हम एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द मंथ, एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द क्वार्टर, एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द ईयर. सो ये सब अवार्ड्स देते हैं. दे मे और मे नॉट बी मॉनेटरी, so it may not be monetary, but people know that they have added to the performance of the संस्था. so वो संस्था के लिए कुछ उन्होंने एक्सेप्शनल किया है, जिससे वो रिकग्नाइज हो गए टू गेट दीज अवार्ड्स. एंड दे कैन ऑल्सो बी एट अ टीम लेवल. तो ये नहीं कि एक इंडिविजुअल को मिला, ये टीम ने, से लीगल टीम या टैक्स टीम, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम किया कुछ मर्जर और एक्विजिशन के लिए, कुछ बहुत प्रोक्योरमेंट टीम है, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी नेगोशिएशन की कंपनी में, उसमें बहुत फायदा हुआ। या मार्केटिंग टीम है जो उन्होंने ब्रांड मैनेजमेंट में बहुत अच्छा एड निकाला जिससे हमारा मार्केट शेयर बढ़ गया। सो ये रिकग्निशन जो है, ये आप बहुत in many ways you can use it because it really motivates people because you get a sense, I'm visible, तो लोग बहुत visibility आपको मिल जाती है। I think there is somebody who's there. Yeah. So ये visibility आपको बहुत ये मिल जाती है, and it encourages them to do better. So there's a sense of not only achievement because you put it on the newsletter और लोग recognize करते हैं कि ये बहुत इस टीम ने बहुत अच्छा किया. So you feel a sense of pride. आपको CEO award दे रहा है, and that is really something that motivates people always. हमारे बच्चों के लिए भी, I mean, let's look at our own children. उनको recognize करो, उनको you recognize them for the effort they have put. First आए क्लास में या second आए अच्छी तरह उन्होंने कोई sport खेला, and you feel so good, and they feel very good when they get recognized by parents also. So this recognition program can be used in many ways, and it really gives the right type of spirit in the organization by the manager. Benefits. Now benefits is कोई monetary benefits भी होती हैं, जैसे provident fund, gratuity, ये सब benefits होते हैं, employee benefits. और they have also broadened, तो ये खाली ये तो monetary एक तरफ है, पर दूसरा है लोगों के लिए और कुछ benefit plan करना है, जैसे कि health insurance है, जैसे मेडिकल बेनिफिट्स, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस प्लान है अपने फैमिली के लिए भी, अपने पेरेंट्स के लिए भी, एजिंग पेरेंट्स, यू कैन नॉमिनेट देम, और कंपनी को ज्यादा लॉयल्टी, यू फील माय गॉड द कंपनी इज रियली लुकिंग आफ्टर मी, और ये बेनिफिट लोगों को बहुत भाता है, दे रियली लव दिस. ओके, सो लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल आई रिमेंबर even things like scholarships. So we used to take management graduates, or sorry, mostly management graduates. So, but जो भी sales में हमारे बहुत outstanding people थे, उनको हम management school scholarship के लिए भेज, company used to pay for this with this scholarship, and they used to feel a huge sense of pride and loyalty कि इस company ने मुझे recognize किया और मुझे भेजा है to an institute to do my MBA and come back and work in this company. So unki level of engagement becomes so high, and these are people who still work with the company. मैंने इनको recruit किया हुआ 30 साल पहले, अभी तक वो चल रहे हैं, because they say कि this company has given us so much and has changed our careers for us. तो loyalty बहुत बहुत बड़ी चीज है इसमें. हम स्कॉलरशिप भी देते थे बच्चों के लिए. So any children who used to consistently come first could not afford to go to a better school, ये scholarship दिए. So you widen that whole employee benefit network to also include the family in many ways. ये भी बहुत it's a great way to recognize talent and to recognize people. आजकल वर्क फ्रॉम होम है, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी टू वर्क फ्रॉम होम, दीज आर ऑल्सो बेनिफिट्स के स्कूल टाइमिंग के लिए आप अर्ली आ सकते हैं, अर्ली वापस जाके घर में काम कर सकते हैं because you have small children. These are also benefits that people are really happy to do, and they're saying instead of waiting long hours in the on traffic jams, I'm able to be much more productive while I'm at home, and I can log on to various things. Maternity benefit bhi hai. Okay, a lot of people, and I know that of course maternity benefit mein wo to act hai, and then you know how many months you give maternity, but that's also a benefit because we in our company also give men the same level of benefits as we would give women going on maternity, and these benefits were plugging program, going into webinars of what it means. So adding, not only just giving them chutti, but also allowing them to experience what it could be and not cutting off completely from the company. And these are ways to retain talent because they feel they're still involved while they're on holiday. Crash की facility. Okay, वापस आ गए. We're playing for crash. Doing reimbursements for any kind of loans, they may take, or company गाड़ी खरीदी हमने, तो कुछ loan, मिल गया company से, which you can pay over time. And those are small measures that you can give, which really attracts people to a company. अब बहुत लोग पूछते हैं कि ये benefit क्या मिलेगा? So हमको क्या benefits है? And they really like to volunteer for companies which give many such benefits. So that's in the area of rewards. Next area, which is on careers. Thank you, Sonia. So careers is an interesting area. So यहाँ पे तो सीढ़ी दिखाई है आपको, जैसे आप पिक्चर देख रहे हैं. But careers are like a climbing wall, I would say. तो ये क्लाइंबिंग वॉल क्या होता है, कभी कभी आपको साइडवेज भी जाना पड़ता है. वॉल खाली सीधा नहीं जाएंगे आप, वॉल को यू विल टेक अ ग्रिप एंड क्लाइंब अप. सो इन अ करियर, मोस्ट पीपल्स करियर इज 40 to 45 years. आप खाली सीधे तो नहीं जा सकते, आप साइडवेज भी निकलेंगे और अपने you will get a nice hold before you go up. So I always call careers a climbing wall. So basically ये आइडेंटिफिकेशन है कि कैसे आप करियर अपना ऊपर जा सकते हैं. जैसे ट्रेनी शुरू किया आपने, और आपको सब कुछ तो पता नहीं है इसमें. सो आप हाउ डू यू लर्न एंड डेवलप योर करियर एंड मूव अप दिस लैडर. सो एंड देयर आर many ways of doing that. Okay, आप through feedback, through performance, of course, that is very important. Through vertical, मैंने असिस्टेंट शुरू किया, उसके बाद मैं पूरा मैनेजर बनी, फिर मैनेजर से सीनियर मैनेजर बने, फिर सीनियर मैनेजर से कहीं और बढ़ गए. But this has happened over all these years where one has experienced broadening one's career also. सो ये नहीं कि खाली एक से दूसरी पोजीशन में गए, 4 आदमी थे अब 8 आदमी रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, ऐसी बात नहीं है. इसमें ये है कि कभी कभी सीनियर में कोई आदमी रिपोर्ट भी नहीं कर रहा, nobody is reporting to you, but yet you are responsible for a large area or an experience that is very important. So ये sense of ownership, sense of pride जो मिलता है career development में, this is very important. I know that in our company, क्योंकि ये global company थी, हमने लोगों को इंटरनेशनल करियर्स में काफी सपोर्ट किया. सो वी हैव एक्चुअली मेड देम, एंड आई एम आल्सो वन ऑफ देम, that have moved internationally to grow my career. So I may have moved in the same job to another location, but I have understood the culture of the organization. Okay, वहाँ क्या कल्चर है, कंपनी का कल्चर तो जो है, पर वहां पे मलेशिया चले गए या सिंगापुर चले गए, वहां पे क्या कल्चर है, हाउ डू यू assimilate that culture, and how do you develop on your leadership through that culture is very important. हमने young talent को swap program में भेजा था. So I'll talk a minute about this. There are many people, जैसे कोरिया में हमने बहुत लोगों को लिया, उनको इतनी अंग्रेजी आती नहीं थी. We have sent them as a swap. तो हमने यूके से करियर किसी को भेजा वहां पे, और ये कोरियन पर्सन को वहां भेजा. एंड दिस इज यंग टैलेंट, ऑल 25-year-old 26-year-old who have experienced this swap program for 6 months. कि आपने मेरी नौकरी की और मैंने आपकी नौकरी की, और इसमें लोग डेवलप भी हो गए इस करियर जर्नी में, because they have now understood what it means to be a brand manager in a very successful organization, not just only in one city or one country, but also somewhere different. So they've come back assimilating so much more on their experience and also learning opportunity while doing somebody else's job. And this is also another way of career development. I would say there are many other ways. So, for example, we were facing a great war on talent in China. China is quite a complex market. हम भेज रहे थे लोगों को, but the career was not growing. But we sent, एक बार हमने भेजा somebody who had never worked in China, but we knew कि इसका काफी potential है to grow into a very, very good general manager. And the person took that experience and said, I could actually fail and I'd be out of the company, but I can take it and develop something for myself. So you have to seize opportunities as not only people who are working in a संस्था, कि कहाँ कहाँ आपको opportunity मिल सकती है, इसमें मैं कहाँ grow कर सकता हूँ. तो हमने ये person को UK से लेके हमने चाइना भेजा. Not only did he learn the Chinese language fabulously, but his performance was absolutely, वो 5 million pound के business को कहाँ 100 million में ले गया 2 सालों में. And that was to identify what are the gaps, how do I actually build this, and he built a career for himself. और इतनी जल्दी उसने अपना बढ़ा लिया career, just because he seized the opportunity, took risks, and said, I'm going to make it because this is the way to do it. So इसमें, he didn't fall back on taking risks. He just decided that he's going to go with it. But there are many ways: getting feedback from managers, making sure that you're taking more and more responsibility, volunteering and saying कि मुझे करना है ये, and I can then do this job, and trying to then make sure that you're trained and you build a career in the organization. So I would say that would be part of the careers. Sonia, if you can go to the next slide. तीसरा है learning. And learning comes from everywhere. And it's not just only in one space, but learning सब जगह से आ सकती है. I have just picked up 2 areas, project-based learning and training program. So project-based में ये है कि a lot of people, and we are all working on certain projects, और जैसे चले जा रहा है, lots of change is happening. चाहे कुछ transformation project पे काम कर रहा है, कोई development project पे काम कर रहा है, कुछ. How do I make myself part of this journey of project, ताकि मैं real time work करूं? और ये experience best है कि जब लोग high visibility projects में, जैसे हमने बहुत companies acquire की, as a CHRO, we acquired a lot of companies. और जब कंपनी आप लेते हो, आप बहुत ड्यू डिलिजेंस करते हो कि ये कंपनी ठीक है, ये कल्चरली ठीक चलेगा, इसके नंबर्स ठीक हैं, इसके एम्प्लॉइज के क्या बेस है, ये है वो है. एंड दीज आर हाई वैल्यू प्रोजेक्ट्स. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. ऐसे तो बहुत प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जो आदमी करता है. सो दीज पीपल विथ हाई पोटेंशियल, इनकी पोटेंशियल हाई है, पीपल दैट वी वांटेड टू गिव विजिबिलिटी टू, ताकि वो वापस आके सीनियर मैनेजमेंट को जाके प्रेजेंट भी कर सकते हैं. तो इनको हमने बहुत प्रोजेक्ट्स दिए ताकि वो प्रोजेक्ट्स में कुछ अपने जॉब से कुछ ज्यादा सीखें. They can expand their horizon and their role without really only moving up, and that gives them an experience of a lifetime, which one doesn't, which is so good. I mean, it's wonderful, because when you write, you talk about it. I have worked on this project. जैसे ये बनेगा स्वच्छ इंडिया प्रोजेक्ट था, और ये आप सब जानते हैं रेकेट ने किया था, and that was the company that I was working in. These companies are, this company did an amazing work, and I was part of that project about how do you bring stakeholders together to make it meaningful for you to really make a difference, not just only for, and it was nothing to do with the brand. It was to do with how can I change the habit of this country, which is so complex. And that work is still carrying on. Itne saal ho gaye, I was part of that, but it was doing well and doing good. Okay, to also do well, really. So doing good to do well. So this kind of project was something that I have learned hugely from. And I can only say, ke, thank God for that project that has made me a different person, actually, in many ways. Dusra, so that is project based. Sorry, Sonia, if you can go back, it doesn't matter. A training program, or training also is extremely important. So you have to keep developing people ताकि वो train करें. I can do online training. It can be one-on-one mentorship. It can be a coaching program. जैसे आप resources, when people join the company, they need to be trained कि ये क्या है culture, कैसे हम काम करते हैं यहाँ पे, कैसे हम develop करेंगे लोगों को, और क्या training, basic training होती है. ओके कैसे स्किल डेवलपमेंट, और जैसे हम जाएंगे तो पहले तो अपने आप को कैसे आप डील करें, हाउ कैन आई बी एन इंडिविजुअल कंट्रीब्यूटर, फिर हम कैसे मैनेजर बने, फिर कैसे हम सीनियर लीडर बने, ये सब ट्रेनिंग से आती है। और ये लर्निंग कभी रुकनी नहीं चाहिए, because the more you learn, the more you grow. If you don't learn, really, there's no, it's a glass ceiling. फिर वहीं पे बंद हो जाता है ना, आप ग्रो करेंगे एज एन इंडिविजुअल। सो ये ट्रेनिंग इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और ट्रेनिंग किसी फॉर्म में भी हो सकता है, बिकॉज एवरी डे द वर्ल्ड इज इवॉल्विंग। आज आज आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो गया, अब ये हो गया, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग हो गई, ई कॉमर्स हो गया, और ट्रेनिंग, अनलेस यू कीप डेवलपिंग योर स्किल्स, you will not be able to cope up with the world that is changing. So ये इसकी बहुत जरूरत है. So that's part of learning. Sonia, you can go to the next slide. There are other ways as well, and I'll touch on just a couple of them. Mentorship program. और mentorship program ये है कि आप as a senior person, you can mentor talent that's coming in, so that they can then also look at how they can come to you for ideas or to get developed, और आप उनको feedback दें और उनको mentor दें, ताकि आप उनकी careers को you can sponsor their careers as they go along, and that really makes a difference to talent. So I had a mentor in the organization. So I had two mentors. One, a senior leader who looked after, you knew that I had potential to grow. तो उन्होंने मुझे काफी मेंटर किया, हाउ टू बिकम अ कमर्शियल एचआर पर्सन, एंड दैट रियली हेल्प मी टू अंडरस्टैंड नंबर्स, टू अंडरस्टैंड द कंपनी, not just only my own function, but to understand a broad ranging subject of the organization. So he helped me grow in that area. और दूसरा मेरा यंग मेंटर था, तो रिवर्स मेंटरिंग जिसको कहते हैं. So yes, I had reached the top, but how do you know and what do you know कि young people क्या चाहते हैं? हमने तो tried and tested methods किए हैं सब, but young talent जो था, how do I now engage with this, and are my programs relevant for these people? Are my processes, are my policies right? So I had a young mentor, और उससे जितना मैंने सीखा, I don't think I learned from anybody else, and therefore young talent, और जिसने मुझे mentor किया उसकी pride देखो, he must be thinking I have mentored a very senior person in my company, and therefore I have also learned through that experience. So there are ways to mentor. It can be reverse mentoring, it can be other mentoring. So ये programs बहुत important हैं. Shadowing C-suite, many times we shadow leaders and say, okay, I will be in the same negotiation with my leader, so that I can understand how he's thinking, what he's doing, and you pick up talent from there. Talent really find that visibility very important. कि मैं अब my manager के साथ जा रही हूँ sales call पे, and that gives me, I am a trainee, but I can understand how he's doing that, so I also shadow this person. Brand ambassadorship, बहुत important है. Many times we take people on these programs on brand ambassador, so you become a brand ambassador for a company, right? So for example, you are representing the company, तो आप representer, आप young talent को you give them an opportunity to really serve as an ambassador or representative of your company in different forums. So कहीं forum में आपको इस company के बारे में बोलना है, तो आप भेज रहे हैं अपने talent को, ये नहीं कि खाली senior leader गया, तो you expose as many people to these sort of opportunities, and they feel a sense of pride कि मैं वहाँ, I've been a professional, I've been picked for going and representing my organization, and there's a sense of real personal fulfillment as a result of that. So that could be another way of sponsoring people for these programs. Volunteering, okay, and volunteering is equally important, क्योंकि volunteering में हमारा talent जो है, we are allowing them to, like, again, let me give an example of Banega Swachh India. We had a lot of people who volunteered for this and said, I want to leave my day job to now do this work for 6 months and get attached to it. So आप volunteer करते हैं for them to come back, to actually connect with the community, to understand what it means, work at the grassroots level, And we had people who were building toilets in the villages, and they volunteered for this. And they said, if your company has to make a difference, the people, each of us have to have that feeling of, pride that we have also contributed to this large canvas of changing habits in the community. So volunteering is another way. You send people for volunteer efforts, and they really get a sense of belonging and pride in the organization. I know that it's more than 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop because I want you to get time to also ask your questions. So I'll stop there, and then I can take on any questions that you have, and then I can give my closing remarks.
So thank you, Gurveen. So I'm going to stop sharing the slides now. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So
Thank
then
you.
I'll just remove this.
Thank
And
you. I've rushed
thank
through everything, but I know it's a constraint of time, but hopefully people have picked up whatever little they could pick up from this presentation.
No, thanks very much. It was absolutely, it was, for me, it was fantastic. And it more so because it comes from your own first-hand experience, Gurveen. So you've really told us about things that are happening across the globe. And I think that is really very rich information for us. We have a very, very nice question. Actually, the same question occurred to me as well, from Richie Agarwal. So, Richie, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question yourself? Because I really like your question.
Okay. So Gurveen, ma'am, really amazing because you've put what all we have seen in our experience, you've put it in a very structured manner. So if I want to implement things, I can just take points from your presentation and go ahead. The challenge which most of us are facing these days is about the new gen millennials, which, for them, nothing works. Just nothing seems to work because their prime objective is money, and they are very transactional in nature. So once they have identified on another thing, they will not even look back and say hello to you. I mean, I've seen people who are working with me, I've called them to check ki acha tumhari nayi job kaisi chal rahi hai, but they don't even respond to that level. So what is the best practices, or what are professionals doing these days to handle such new gen?
Yeah, I know, we have, I have children. I mean, I have my daughter, and I know exactly what you're saying. But, people stay back in the company for various reasons, right? They stay back for you. Number one is your manager. They don't leave companies, they leave managers. So as long as they are getting the sense of, feedback and the right kind of strokes from the manager, and the manager has to put a lot into it. A lot of managers think कि एक बार तुमने feedback दे दिया बस हो गया, that's done now. Okay, but people are looking for constantly picking up signals to say, how am I doing, what am I doing, and how am I feeling? And a lot of managers actually ignore this because they think, I've given him a yearly feedback, it's fine, now he can carry on. But it doesn't work like that. This generation needs a lot of hand-holding. And it requires, you have to pick up those very, very fine signals. So one is they leave managers for sure. They also need a sense of purpose. बहुत जरूरी है उनको sense of purpose. I know that monetary is important, but the sense of purpose for these youngsters is also equally important. People used to ask me, I have a job, I'm getting a job with Unilever, I'm getting a job with Reckitt. Okay, what is it that you do which is so meaningful that I can change a life here or change lives? And can I work with you here? And that sense of pride that they're all very proud. Everybody wants to win. It's not that they don't want to win. And the only way to win is to continue to keep working on yourself and creating value, Richie. And if you're not growing, and this onus of responsibilities in the organization to help people grow, because if they stop learning, that's where it starts to fall apart, and people will quickly move, and you won't even know how quickly they've moved. Okay, so that sense of loyalty then doesn't play. So it's very important that the manager plays a very critical role, and training to the manager on how to give feedback, how to coach your people, how to make sure that they are engaged. is a very important part of that retention piece.
Thank you.
I hope I've answered it in some way or the other, Ajay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Deva, you have a question?
Yeah, I had in fact posted it in my chat box, but I will continue. Yeah, true retention also starts with a true recruitment. If there is going to be a faulty recruitment, then retention is going to be a little bit troublesome. And one more point that could be added to the wonderful presentation is the discrimination. Discrimination always leads to people leaving and things like that. Okay, so there should be indiscriminatory and uniform policies, etc., so that people don't really leave. That helps retention of people.
Thank you, Deva. It's a very important point, actually. And you're right, and we didn't get too much of time to talk about, recruitment, etc. But of course, you have to make sure that you're recruiting as per your culture of the organization and what role you're recruiting for. And it's very important that you spend time in the right people coming and joining your business. And a lot of people stay with poor recruitment. I know for sure, because I worked in companies where you've stayed with people who have not fitted, because they've been somehow or the other, there's it's a match, right? So that match hasn't happened. And so it's better to let go of talent at that time. Let go. Maybe they have a job somewhere else. Maybe it's important for them. I know it's hard. Okay, but sometimes you've got to let go. So it's tough love, for example. You let them go and say, it's fine. This is not the right person for this company. It may be the right person for some other company. So recruitment is an important part of retention. That's why they say it's a cycle, right? So you recruit, you develop, you engage, and you retain. So it's like a cycle, which is what is most virtuous, actually, for any organization. So that is one. And the point that you made on discrimination, of course, I mean, you have to have policies and processes to make sure that it's equal for everyone, and there is no bias involved in it. But we're all human beings. There's always going to be a sense of bias, and you have to call it out. So you have to be making sure that your policies are set in the right manner. It is implemented across. Also requires a lot of communication and a lot of understanding by people. And therefore, managers play again a very key role in making that visible to people and being objective. Thank you, Deva.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else has a question?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
Gauri?
Ramesh it's not me. It's Ramesh. It's Ramesh Venugopal. Yeah,
Okay.
Ramesh, you can ask the question after unmuting.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I have seen that nowadays this EQ, emotional quotient, is more. Nowadays, the companies are recognizing EQ more than IQ. So, can you throw light on this aspect?
Yeah. So EQ, SQ, there are so many things, lots of Qs, right? So a lot of people actually would, EQ is important because, you're working in, you cannot work in isolation. You're not in a little bubble, right? When you work in an organization, you build relationships. And those relationships are very important for you to be able to perform. So relationship with your peers, relationship with your managers, relationship with your, your subordinates, these are important. Therefore, how do you make sure that you're challenging them, giving them the right amount of, coaching and development, and they are also feeling engaged, because it's not just, you just don't come with your brain to work. You're also bringing your heart into work. Right. And that's where the pride comes in. When you ask people, are you happy that you came here? Yes, I do. Are you going to stay back with the organization, or are you going to strive? And that strive is very important. And that comes through an emotional bond with the organization. Because strive, what does strive mean? That I'm here, but I'm going to do my best for the company every day. Not only I'm going to talk well about the company, but I'm also going to strive to do my best every day. And that's where the emotion comes in, because it's not just here. It's your feeling of, if you're feeling of a bond with a company, that every day I have to come excited to work to do my best. And that is where, that's why people look for that EQ and that passion. Okay, because that passion then culminates into pride, and that pride culminates into retention.
Yeah, very true, ma'am. Thank you.
In the company. So you're 100% right.
Okay, so we have Mr. Basavaraj Honappa and then Richie with a follow-up question. So should we first go with Mr. Basavaraj Honappa? What would you like to ask? You're on mute, sir.
There's something about contentment.
Hello.
I don't.
He's written it on the side. He says, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, because, am I audible, madam?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, because just I have written, India has a lot of engineers, doctors, or so many talents actually. And during their service, they will make a lot of money also. But when they retire or after their work, they don't show much interest to serve the community or give their knowledge to the people, because I have tried so many doctors also to make some health camps, but they tell that it's a very annoying, and they tell that. So what is the help I'm doing? People will ask so many questions while doing this, and they don't show much interest. I think just as I mentioned, contentment is the missing in the people actually.
Your voice is breaking.
But ultimately, if you don't feel
yeah, I think the voice is breaking a little bit. So I think he should.
I didn't hear the last piece. So I think the point that Basavaraj was saying is that it's important that people feel content. Yeah, content
Yes.
about what they're doing. Of course, they're content. And Basavaraj, let me give you an example of my mother. My mother was a doctor. Right? She's no more, but she was a doctor, and she worked in the railways. And she did of course, service to the railways. It was her job, but she retired early. And the only reason she retired early was to do social service. So she actually came back because she said this was not fulfilling enough. Of course, railway service is very good. I'm not saying that. But she actually stepped out of the railway service because she said, I've learned my medicine to give back to society. And she used to run clinics in the church, in the Gurdwara, in clinics where all poor people who could not afford. And she was more passionate about this than anything else. So she worked really hard for this clinic, and really, it was very uplifting to see her. I used to go and visit her once a year, if I supposing was going after 3 months to see her, because I was living in another city. She would say, Acha, you've come, I'm going because my patients are waiting for me. That was a sense of giving back that you have. So you will find people with that level of commitment and that level of contentment, I'm sure, to also give back. And she had taken early retirement to do it. So there are certainly people who are passionate about it. I couldn't hear your last question, so I don't know whether it was a remark or a question, but
it is it is an observation, madam, actually.
I understand.
It's an observation.
Yeah.
But if such case studies are there, then we can expose these people. I think, suppose there is a case study, because this country won't run with only single doctor or single people, because there are thousands, lakhs together patients.
Yes.
And that should be made suppose people need an environment. If somebody is doing and then some people will come forward further, then that can be taken further, and there were no more adding the people who take it further, and there are more volunteers like that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much, Mr. Basiraj. We are now in the last 5 minutes of the session. So I'm going to take 2 more questions. We have one follow-up question from Richie and another question from Priya. So Richie, I think you had said how to identify passion while recruiting. So would you quickly want to address that, Gurveen, and then we'll hand it over to Priya to ask a question.
We'll have to do a masterclass on recruitment now.
Yeah, that will be really nice.
I think that
because when you mention about culture, recruitment based on culture, and then we say that because everybody is too excited in the interview, and after that, they turn out to be somebody else only. So that is I think one of the challenges that I've been facing.
I completely understand that, Richie. And I think it's important to make sure that the interview is able to, number one, what is the kind of people you're looking for? Are you looking for people who are just going to, you can see from the CV whether they're just going to move from one job to another, or are you looking for people who are actually going to make a difference, and why? So the more probing you can be, the more it is, do they have the fire in the belly? What will make it work, etc. So, you have to go deeper and deeper into the questions that you're wanting to really figure out, because what's the core? And what is their explanation to say, why am I joining you? Okay, and why am I joining you? So, and they'll be excited to say this, but why? What is the difference that you'll make? You go to the next level of why and next level of why, and you'll be able to see whether these people are just skimming the surface, or are they really deep into what they've thought through, and you'll immediately spot that passion.
Wonderful.
I'm happy to help you, Richie. So anytime that you want to have a chat with me, please do. We'll talk
I will take your number from Sonia, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Priya, over to you now.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you very much for the presentation. I run a small enterprise, and I feel that the resources that we have for retention are very limited. So one of the things that I always notice is that it's like it seems to be a kind of character of people, that some people are willing to put in more effort to make things work while others are not. Is there any tool? Have you come across any tool which can be used as a part of the recruitment to assess this aspect of a person's character or behavior, to see if that is somebody who would put that extra effort?
There are lots, Priya. There are lots of tools. You can use a bunch of psychometrics actually when you're recruiting. And I think the typical one that I would suggest would be a 16 PF test. And it's a tool which will give you the character of a person, and you can dial in and dial out. It's a 16 PF test, very, very easy to do. But there's several such mechanisms where and you and I can chat about it. I know we have paucity of time, but we can talk about it. But 16 PF is something that I would suggest.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Great, Gurveen. This has been extremely, extremely helpful, I think, and I enjoyed it. And I hope all our participants have also benefited from all the wisdom that you've shared. And yes, definitely, I'll connect you. I think people are now interested to talk to you more. So we'll do. So I will do a follow-up connection with you, with them as well. And I will also be sending your PowerPoint, the more detailed PowerPoint presentation. I will share it with everybody so they can understand in more depth what you've told us. And on that note, thank you very much, and really appreciate the time that you've given Seniors in Seva.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who's attended the session.
Thank you, Sonia. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the very best in your journey in talent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, ma'am. Please do keep organizing such sessions. You all have wonderful people, and we want to learn from you all. I think that's the benefit that we get being associated with Seniors in Seva.
Thank you, Richie. That was absolutely wonderful feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.